As we have walked through the Lord's Prayer, we've been invited into a life of dependence on God. Daily time spent with God in the same way that Jesus did. And so oftentimes we call it the prayer that Jesus prayed. And as we talked about, Jesus' prayer has a structure to it. It begins with our relationship with God. Father, holy is your name. Let your authority and your will be in operation here and now, just like in heaven. But then the focus shifts to the community of his followers. And Jesus then says, this is how you pray. You pray, give us today our daily bread. Every one of Jesus' listeners would have immediately remembered the story of Israel in the desert when they heard that phrase, daily bread. Now the story is that these people who've been delivered out of slavery in Egypt are on a journey from their past to their promise. And they're in this in-between moment where a definitive act of deliverance has taken place, but the final fulfillment of God's promise is still in front of them. And so God tells them at this moment when they're in the desert, in this in-between moment, God tells them, I will provide for you. Every morning when the Israelites wake up, there is this flaky, sweet, bread-like substance that they find on the ground, and they're able to collect it. Now this only lasts for a day, this food that they find, before it actually goes bad. And so every day they have to trust God that the next day there will be more, except for the Sabbath when they get double. Now the Israelites have a name for this daily bread, and they call it manna, which basically means what? Or what is this? And so as they are on this journey from their deliverance to their promise, they are in an in-between type of existence where they are depending daily on God for his provision. And so Jesus is basically saying, this is your situation too. The Lord's Prayer reminds us to be aware of God's daily provision. This part of the prayer counters the story of self-sufficiency that we love to tell. We do always lean in that direction. Look what I did. Look what I worked out. Look what I worked for, and look what I earned. That idea of my own self-sufficiency misses the essential truth that everything I have, I don't have because I worked for it. I have because God graciously has given it to me. You see, who gave me the strength or the intelligence or the breath to get all of those things done? It was God. I read that Jeff Bezos used to interview people who were potential executives at Amazon, and he would ask them this question. He would say, do you consider yourself a lucky person? And he was looking for the answer, yes, because to say, no, I'm not a lucky person, and I worked for everything that I have, misses the obvious and essential truth that the blessings and the advantages that most of us enjoy did not necessarily come because of our hard work. There is a humility to saying, I recognize that my hard work and my effort might be important, but they are certainly not the full story of why I am blessed in my life. Praying, give us today our daily bread, opens my eyes to the miracle of God's daily provision, and it sets me in a posture of trust. Secondly, it also reminds me that God is not too big to care about small things. Bread is the most basic of foods, and in most parts of the world, for most of human history, it's been the staple for survival. It might sound a little bit silly, but Jesus did not tell us to pray only when we need filet mignon. He didn't say, don't bother God unless you need something really big. He didn't say, don't ask God too often or he might get annoyed. He said, pray for bread daily. Are you in the habit of bringing small things to the Lord in prayer? Or have you relegated him to the extremes of your life? I've found that my sense of trust and closeness with God has grown as I've learned that my every need is significant to him, and that my job in prayer is to trust him with big things and with small things. And lastly, this part of the prayer reminds me that I can ask God and he will answer. Worrying is not the same thing as asking. Feeling anxious is not the same thing as asking. I think a lot of people mistake this. I was thinking about it so much, and so that was prayer. Asking God in prayer is asking. James 4:2 says, "You do not have because you do not ask God." Jesus teaches us to go to God and to ask for our needs as regular and as unremarkable as daily bread. So ask Him. Dr. Billy Graham said, "Heaven is full of answers to prayers for which no one ever bothered to ask," or I might say, for which people were afraid to ask. Even if you have not been a person of prayer, watch how God responds when you begin to ask, when you transition from just worrying to asking, from just thinking about it to actually going to God in prayer and asking. C.S. Lewis called it God's divine humility. And he said it like this. He said, "God is not proud. He will have us though we have shown we prefer everything else to Him. God still welcomes us back to Him." Remember, in the first part of our prayer, we set our perspective and our hearts right. And we remember that we're talking to our Father, so we can ask and we can trust that He will do even better than what we're asking for. He'll answer, and even if it seems that that answer hasn't come, we can trust that He's working out what is best for us. There is an old hymn that says it like this: "Oh, what peace we often forfeit, oh, what needless pain we bear, all because we do not carry everything to God in prayer." Ask, and God will answer you.